What's up, fellow polymaths? In this video of the Java Fundamentals tutorial, we'll be going over inner classes. Inner classes are classes nested inside a class. So it's basically a class in a class. Inner classes are similar to how you can have for loops nested inside for loops, or if statements nested inside if statements. Nested classes are mainly used to group classes that belong together, which makes your code more cleaner and more robust. So the syntax for an inner class is basically where you have an outer class, and then within that outer class, you just define an inner class. That's pretty much it. Inner classes, unlike a regular class, can be private or protected. If you don't want outside objects to access the inner class, you can declare the class as private. Inner classes can also be static, so you don't have to create an object of the outer class to access its class. A static inner class, like a static attribute or method, doesn't have access to members of the outer class. There are three types of non-static inner classes. There's a regular inner class, which is a class within a class. So this is the most basic type of inner class. There's a method local inner class. So this is a class within a method. The class will be local to the method, similar to local variables. And just like local variables, the scope of the inner class is restricted only to within the method. And then there's the anonymous inner class, which is an inner class declared without a class name. Anonymous inner classes are declared and initialized at the same time. They're generally used to override the method of a class or an interface. The name of a class is decided by the compiler. So we saw the syntax for a regular inner class. The syntax for the method local inner class is basically where we have inside the class, we have the method, and inside that method contains the inner class. That's the syntax for the method local inner class. So the syntax for an anonymous inner class is where you create an object from a class, and then after a constructor, within the curly braces is where the class will go. So this allows you to create a class without having to define the name of the class. Now that we have an understanding of inner classes, let's go into the code and try them out. All right, so here we're in the code editor, and I'm just going to create a new class called outer class. And in this outer class, we're going to create a class within that class called the inner class. All right, so I've created the outer class, and within this class, I'm going to define the inner class within this class. All right, so here I've created the inner class as well as defined two methods, one in the outer class, but outside the inner class, and one inside the inner class. So now I'm going to be calling these methods in the main class. So here I'm in the main class right now, and I'm going to create two objects, one from the outer class and one from the inner class, and you'll see how it works. All right, so I created the objects for both the outer class and the inner class, and I'm also calling the methods from each of those classes. So notice when I create the object for the inner class, it contains the outer class dot inner class, then the inner class object equals new outer class dot new inner class. So if the class is not static, then this is the way that you create an object. All right, so now that we have our code here, let's run this code right now and see what our result is. All right, so we have our result. The first line is this method is from the outer class, and the second line is this method is from the inner class. So that's pretty much what we're expecting. Let's make a minor change, and let's make the inner class static. All right, so I made the inner class as a static class. So now I'm going to go in the main class and then call that print output from inner class method in a static way. All right, so here in the main method, and I created an object called inner class, pretty much the same name as the previous inner class that's commented out. The way that I create an object from a static inner class is different from a non-static inner class is that for a static inner class, after the assignment operator in this non-static inner class, you use the name of the object of the outer class dot new and then the constructor of the inner class. But in a static inner class, after the assignment operator, it's new and then the name of the outer class dot constructor of the inner class. And then the way that you call the inner class is pretty much the same way. So let's just run this and we'll expect the same result. And we do get the same result. So that's a brief overview of how inner classes work. Again, there's more to inner classes than this, such as method local inner classes and anonymous inner classes. Try to practice these on your own just so that you get the concept. All right, here's our assignment for this topic. Number 1, what are inner classes? Number 2, true or false, inner classes can be private or protected. Number 3, create an inner class within a class with a method in the inner class and call the method within the inner class. If this video was of any value to you, then please vote like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.